How did we get here? Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. First off, before we get started, I want to say thank you for all the support on my previous video about my top 10 engines that I would love to see in the Bachmann Thomas & Friends line. That was a very fun video to make, and so I want to thank you for all the support. But in terms of this video today, I think it is going to be a very interesting video, and it's for sure going to make for an interesting and hot debate in the comment section. But getting into further detail about this video, I'm going to be reviewing the 2021 Thomas Wooden Railway line, and I'm going to be taking a look at what I think is the best engine out of the line, and that's going to be Percy.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
So strap in and get ready for a brutally honest review, and let's get the heck out of here first. Now that's much better. Here we are at Brendam Docks. But already I'm not a fan of the packaging. I really just don't like the blank and boring background that we have on the front here. I really miss the old days where the models were on display within the packaging itself. Nowadays, I have to pick up the packaging and physically slide out the engine instead of just walking through the store aisle and seeing the engine through the plastic packaging. But that's funny I say store aisle because I've never seen this line in a store near me, not even a Target. So I think it's just a representation of the downward slope that the Thomas Wooden Railway line has been on for many, many years. The relaunch was so bad you can't even buy it on Mattel's website. And just have a look at the botted reviews in the top right. And I also think this is just kind of goofy because as I slide out Percy out of his box here, I can't even fully see the Percy model. So all in all, I really don't like this new packaging, and I don't think it's good if you want to market the new items in store aisles. But let's turn it around and give this packaging a fair chance. So as you can see, it has nothing to offer. One quick note, the only notable thing on the back of this packaging is going to be the dates as we see the year 2021. But this is really bad. Besides the front of the packaging, and if you were to slide out Percy, there is basically all words on this packaging. And kids are not going to be interested in that, and neither am I. So this packaging, all in all, not very good. It relies on you to slide out the engine, and even then you really can't fully see the engine. So in my opinion, this is pretty goofy and not very good. And so this is what I mean when I feel like people's standards have really dropped, because what was wrong with this packaging? What was wrong with getting lots of colors and background decorations? We even get Thomas with Annie and Clarabelle in the background. And most importantly, we get to see the engine and or rolling stock that you are trying to buy right front and center. And so this packaging has absolutely nothing to hide. You know exactly what you're getting. And you know what's funny? This is all the wording that this packaging has on it. You saw before how much wording is on the new packaging. And so it's really disgusting how Mattel can't even get packaging right when it comes to Thomas Wooden Railway, because they have a perfect example of what works and what people love. You would even find the merchandise in clothes stores in their toy sections. Thomas Wooden Railway was really everywhere. Even some later packaging is much better than the 2021 packaging. We still get the engine and or rolling stock on display, and we still have lots of coloring on the packaging. And while the back still had wording, it's absolutely nothing compared to what we have now. So at the end of the day, this packaging is good. This is how you do it. This is not. And I've never even seen this in toy sections, so obviously this line never did well to begin with. So without further ado, let's get Percy out of his packaging and onto the rails so we can take a closer look. So I suppose we can do this on camera. Let me just get the scissors in there and clip the black rope that is holding in Percy. And so getting Percy out of the packaging now, we can finally take a closer look at him. So to make this review a bit more organized, I went over the packaging first, and now I'm going to go over what I dislike right away taking a look at Percy. And the first thing I don't like about these new models is going to be the wheels. I really just don't like how they look on these engines, and in my opinion, there was absolutely nothing wrong with the wheels that came before this. I've even had some people in my comment sections calling these wheels monster truck tires, and in my opinion, they're not wrong. The new Percy's wheels just look like tires that you would find on a car. While the older wheels aren't distracting, they don't take away from the engine, and they're much more tasteful. Just take a look at the wheels in this front side shot. In my opinion, they are just so jarring and they really do look bad. Here's a picture of the James model from this line. Just take a look at the wheels and take a look at his body here. It looks absolutely terrible. And so I'm very glad I'm not taking a look at the James model today, because James, in my opinion, looks like the worst one out of this entire line. But like I said, Percy, in my opinion, is going to be the best out of the worst here. And so the second thing I don't like about these engines is I don't like the faces, and Percy's face here is really bad. This does not remind me about Percy at all. And right away, this reminds me of All Engines Go. Now the faces may not be as extreme as the All Engines Go faces, but they look very cartoony and they just look goofy on these wooden railway models that are trying to have so much detail. And I really don't know why these engines have facial expressions. It also just really restricts play, in my opinion. I feel like you are forcing whoever's playing with this item to have Percy be surprised or scared or anything that would cause that facial expression. So here we have a Percy from 2001, but what was wrong with the generic faces? They proved to be successful for so many years and nobody had a problem with them. And that's what made models like this Thomas so special. When they gave us engines with facial expressions, we could swap out the engines depending on what story we are trying to recreate. In terms of this Thomas, we could use them as we recreate Thomas and Bertie's Great Race. It's much better to have the generic smiling face and then have other versions of the same engine with different expressions. Just imagine if the only Thomas model released had this tired out expression. I love my 1996 Thomas, and so I know I would have been disappointed, just like I am now with this Percy. Just take a look at this picture of Percy in All Engines Go.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Now why would I want a face that resembles anything of All Engines Go? It's not Thomas and Friends, and it ruined all of the faces on these Thomas Wooden Railway engines. So yeah, the wheels and the face are pretty goofy, and I think they're really bad. And so now it's time to talk about the things that I like about this engine. First off, I really do like the size of Percy. It's clear they tried to make him a smaller engine, and I think they did a really good job in doing so. Comparing him to the 2001 Percy, I really do like the new Percy's boiler size, and I really just feel like Percy's shape on the left here, the new one, is a really nice and fresh change. The handrails are a nice touch, and I love Percy's coal bunker. Some people may like the buffers, but I'm personally not a fan of them. But doesn't something feel out of place here? Look at all the detail they were putting into Percy. You can see all the detail and effort put into Percy's cab, whether it's the handrails, the different shades of green. We even have some steps to get up to the cab. I also think the dome is a nice touch on Percy here, as well as the funnel. But then take a look at the wheels, and then take a look at his face. Things just don't add up. They went for such a realistic look with some of these engines, such as Percy here, but the wheels are just jarring and goofy, and the face doesn't resemble Percy at all. I think this Percy and the 2021 relaunch line had a lot of potential, and while it's certainly a step up from Thomas and Friends Wood, I still feel like this line misses the mark. With the exception of Bachmann, Mattel has done an absolutely terrible job with the Thomas and Friends merchandise in recent years, and this 2021 relaunch line is no exception. I just don't feel like people at Mattel understand the simplicity and the charm of the original Thomas Wooden Railway line. They really don't understand that less is more. While this Thomas may have less detail than this Percy on the left here just looks very out of place, while this Thomas is very tasteful, very charming, very pleasant to look at. And if you still disagree, just realize that this version of Thomas Wooden Railway stuck around for so long and was loved by so many fans and kids around the world, while this line of Thomas Wooden Railway isn't even sold on the Mattel website, and I can't even find it in stores. This is good, and this is not. At the end of the day, I feel like fans get distracted by all the new added details, and they really forget what made Thomas Wooden Railway work in the first place. Mattel doesn't know what they're doing, and they basically made the Thomas Wooden Railway line non-existent. And who wants to look at this when they're shopping for Thomas Wooden Railway? Every day that I'm alive, I'm going to be saying that this is far better than anything that we got in 2021, and it's not even close. But to be honest, after looking at the 2021 relaunch, including this Percy engine here,